Okay, good. Good interview. Said a lot and didn't say many things. Number one, APC has left me. What does it mean by that? If you check through the chat list, I'm probably sure he's not the only person that passed through the screening list and got to be minister, that didn't make it up to minister. I'm not sure those people have come out to cry over spilled milk like this. So this talk about APC have left me. You're a party man, you're supposed to be a party man. It's not only when things are favoring you or is in your favor, that's when you're a party man. Secondly, President Tinubu didn't pick me in the end. Yes, he didn't pick you. So let's move off it.
And he wasn't even interested.
Deal with it. He wasn't even interested.
He was literally begged.
But he submitted himself for it. Why didn't he reject it in the first place? And you see this idea, El-Rufai touts around the accidental, but there's nothing called an accidental public servant. You willingly, because he also said something yesterday that really annoyed the hell out of me. He said Buhari begged him to be governor to run for governor. No, you wanted to run for governor. If you don't want to do something, you reject it.
He said he was a self-made man.
If you want to do it, he could have continued being self-made. He was a self-made man. He could have continued being self-made. He could have not taken the job of the DG of BPE. He could have not taken the job of the FCT minister. He could have continued to be self-made. Nobody begged him. There's nothing like accidental public servant. You want to do it. So after the first 4 years as governor in Kaduna State, if he was an accidental public servant, why didn't he leave? Why did he go for another 4 years? I think their plan, whatever they planned with Tinubu, never worked out in the end. These people are recalibrating for the next election cycle. That's all they are doing. When he says, I'll never go back to PDP, I laugh. Which party made El-Rufai in the first place? It's not PDP. Well, what party was it, FCT minister? Which party in power gave him the job as a DG of BPE? So these politicians, and like you said rightly, Professor Killer, these guys have got no ideology. It's about, you see, for them, let me tell you how average Nigerian politicians think. Personality cults. Me, myself, and I. Me, my press boys, and I. Everything is about me. It rise and fall with me. The highest level of narcissism. That's an average way of average politician for you. He talked about Ribadu. I would have wanted him to substantiate with evidence that Ribadu was working with Obasani to bring up corruption allegations against him. I wanted to see evidence. And please, we still call on El-Rufai to be able to provide those evidence. And also, Ribadu's rebuttal for me is not strong enough as far as I'm concerned. You say you don't want to join issues, but you join issues with other people. You had a full response to Najatu, didn't you? So please, it's best you respond. You've said, okay, you are not running for presidency in 2031. We've gotten that. But also, you should respond to this, what he said, while I'm also asking El-Rufai to provide facts. I'm saying Ribadu should also respond to those allegations that he is working with Obasani to get trumped up allegations against him. All of this is all for their own selfish interest, in case you don't know. It's about them. Like I said, the mentality of an average politician is me, myself, and I. The people are always last on the pecking order, and that's why you can never have ideology in this politics. They will never talk about issues. Have you ever seen them coming out to argue about issues? They'll never talk about issues.
Well, I thought he spoke a little bit about ideology, maybe not as in-depth as we would have liked it, because he said that one of the reasons why he's no longer supporting the president is because he's moved away from the progressive ideology which the APC started or was built on. And that was what he said, that he'd even had to go and speak to past APC chairmen to say, oh, what's happening with our party? This is not what we started off for. This is not what we stand for. He actually said that. Then he spoke, because I remember that Mr. Charles actually spoke to him or asked him pointedly about him being a reformer and what he thought about some of the reforms that Tinubu had made. And he said that, yes, he agrees with a number of the reforms. However, the way in which it was done and the incompetent people who were tasked with the duty of managing the process was what the challenge was. So he did speak to those things during the interview, maybe not as strongly as we would have liked. But even more than that, speaking about the issues, what overshadowed it were his take on political matters. One of which, of course, that came up really prominently is this issue around his nomination as minister. And that's why it's headlined this morning. The fact that apparently, and I remember very clearly when President Tinubu went to Kaduna State during his campaign, and he said, oh, that was the first time he had said it publicly that, El-Rufai has to join the cabinet. I remember very clearly. Now, we also remember that El-Rufai stuck his neck out for the president during the campaign season. Even though now he said all he wanted was a Southerner, it didn't matter who the person was. Whoever the South brought forward and whoever was the strongest candidate that could bring home the presidency and the election for the APC was whom he was going to support. So he wasn't never really a friend of Tinubu, or perhaps he didn't even believe in his own ideologies. What he wanted was fairness, because when the party was set up in 2013, they'd agreed that if Buhari gets in, then after 8 years, a Southerner would come in. And so he showed himself as a principled person, that, oh, they had agreed about this thing, therefore they must follow through. However, he's now saying that based on the current performance of the president, they were no longer happy with him, and it's no longer about Southern agenda. Now, this is where I think we should actually x-ray, and I maintain my stance. The first time he started his, this conversation around the fact that at the end of the day, it all boils down to taking back the power to the North come 2027, because he's already said it when he was asked whether or not he was going to support a Tinubu presidency in 2027, that it was very unlikely. Not only that, they're giving the South a chance, so he's not going to. He hinted that he would no longer be as staunch in his support for a Southern president, even though he would like it to continue like that, and if may the best man win. That's what he put up. And then he then goes further to talk about presidential ambitions by saying that the current NSA, in his ambition to be president in 2031, is now trying to sabotage whom he seems to be the strongest northern opponent to him come 2031, which is El-Rufai. That's the basis of all this, what he now would categorized as witch hunt in Kaduna. But I think you should go beyond just saying witch hunt, which a lot of politicians say when they are being investigated by the ICPC, EFCC. In fact, he indicted the ICPC, saying that they are not very serious, that the EFCC is a better organization than the ICPC. He said that during the interview yesterday. But beyond that, he's showing proof. He even goes on further to say that he gave part of his money. He donated part of his money to running of governance, he and his deputy at the time. And that's an interesting fact. But these things, there must be proof. We are no longer going to take your word or just going to take a rhetoric and run with it. Where's the proof? And if you're truly innocent, let the investigations go with your corporation. And if at the end of the day nothing is found good on you, and then we can then begin to consider you. I don't think he's out of politics yet. The fact that he's still speaking now, even though now he says maybe we'll find our end here. He started off as accidental, loved the job, and now wants to serve the nation. That is what it is. It is positioning for the next cycle of elections. Let's see how this unfolds. Nuhu Rubado has come out with a rebuttal saying that he doesn't have time to face that. He's working too hard to face matters. But let's see if he would come up with another, comment.
Okay. Now, I'm not sure I will be in the APC in 2027. So I cannot answer that question. As a private citizen, I can afford to be reckless and say, you know what? We gave the Southerners their chance. They gave us Tinubu. Has he done well? If he hasn't done well by 2027, let's vote him out. Okay? I would prefer that a Southerner succeeds Tinubu. But at the end of the day, in the party that I would be, whether it is APC or any other party, the calculation has to be who will win. And as I told you earlier, in Kaduna, when we looked at all the southern aspirants, our caucus said, look, Tinubu has the best chance of winning. Our party must win. Whatever the baggage he comes with, let's manage it after we win. It is the same way these decisions are taken. Now, in 2027, I will not be a governor. So I will not have the sort of clout that I had in 2023. But I'm just explaining this so that people understand that in those smoke-filled rooms where these political decisions are taken, hard political mathematics takes place in which you want to win.
All right. He had a lot to get off his chest, but I'm sure you can understand why. This is his first media interview since May of 2023. Now, Professor Kila, the accidental public servant, has come out to unburden. And as you would imagine, a number of takeaway points from what he said. I don't know what you make of that particular interview. Fantastic one by Charles Ayagolo, I must say. But your take on this particular story?
Well, I think, what we had there is a vintage El-Rufai, articulate, controversial, straightforward in some areas. In some other areas, sending coded messages. That, is the man, El-Rufai, audacious as well. And he seems to chart a path of where he's going next, what he's going to do, and he's warning people. He's doing this because in 2 years' time, he's going to come back, maybe back to Charles and say, well, I did say so. That's the El-Rufai there. What has he talked about? 3 or 4 things. Number one, he has asserted to the world that leave this idea that I'm not minister alone. I'm not minister because the man who promised to make me minister refused to make me minister. By doing that, he paints a picture without saying it, but let's decode it for him, of an Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu who reneged on his promise, either because he's weak or changed his mind. Definitely weak because he hid under the cloak of the National Assembly, denying him. Because in reality, a strong leader could have called him and said, listen, young man, I changed my mind. Or listen, fellow party member, I've changed my mind. He indirectly accuses Tinubu of not doing that, but hiding under the guises of National Assembly to justify their action. I think the presidency and those around Tinubu have a duty to let us know what really happened to that. And again, he indirectly says, where is the report that indicted me? I think citizens have a right to know. Because if somebody is accused of having security issues, then maybe he should be investigated for what he's accused of doing. It is not enough to say, you won't be minister, go home. No, this is not a private affair. If we say because of security you can't be minister, then you should face what the security issues are. Otherwise, we're playing with things. There's a fascinating aspect of what El-Rufai did yesterday in that interview. He says, my problem is not with the administration's policy in say, I have some things I don't agree with, mainly the sequence. My problem is with internal democracy. Now, all lovers of democracy will be interested in the democracy. But let me warn people, that is a partisan issue. If the opposition brewing in Nigeria is the one that say, I have no issues with this policy, my issue is with internal democracy, then there's something still lagging. They're legitimate, to play a bit to the left, a bit to the right, like the new author in town has taught us to learn. But I believe that if we want a good institution, then we need radical ideas. Somebody looking to the right, somebody looking to the left. We need a party that will be able to say, I am for or against for subsidy removal. Not just maybe the sequence, maybe this is that. We need a block of people that can come out with fresh ideas to say, not the way they're doing it, let's try another way. The rest is a bit of partisan issue, which are very legitimate. El-Rufai says he will do anything. I like the expression, APC has left me. Like him or loathe him, I believe there's a lot of people who since 2018, 2019 have had that feeling about APC, that perhaps this is not what some people envisioned when that party was built. He has arrived there in 2023. Some people are saying welcome to him. But I think overall, it comes out as a person of substance and it can be disagreed. And I really want to say that we need to continue following this because the future, at least the political partisan future of Nigeria, is already in the making.
All right, thank you very much. Rufai, we love an interview that opens up more for even more interrogation, and definitely there are a lot of people who have a right of reply to some of the things that he said yesterday. One of such has already released a statement based on this. That's
Yes.
Nuhu Rubadu. But your take on this story?